It's time for the Onyx News. Extraterrestrials, time anomalies, dimensions, remote viewing, UFOs, UAPs, and USOs, ghostly encounters, abductions, Bigfoot, and more. Your end of the week news source for everything unexplained. Here is your host for the Onyx News Podcast, Margie K.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Onyx News. I'm your host, Margie K. And this evening, as usual, we have a really good show for you. I met Erich Degner at the MUFON symposium recently, and he proved to be a very interesting gentleman. And so we are going to have a conversation and discuss his very strange adventures that he has had. Erich has a BS in planning, public policy and management, and an MBA in entrepreneurship marketing, and has an internet business since 2002. He's a landlord in Southwest Portland, and he's currently working on a book about the subjects that we are going to talk about this evening. Welcome to the program, Erich.
Thanks for having me, Margie. Appreciate it.
Well, sure thing. I had to have you on after I heard a little bit of your story at the symposium. Let's kind of go back to the beginning. When did all the strangeness start in your life?
You know, after deja vu and stuff happening, it probably happened at birth because my mom, I was born the day that Skylab was born or launched in 1973, May 14th. So that's kind of synchronicity. And then my parents named me Erich, E-R-I-C-H, like Erich von Däniken. So that's a little synchronicity. Mm-hmm. And after I was born, my mom had 5 miscarriages after me. And my whole life growing up, she would have nightmares where she'd wake up and be like, "Hey, they're getting me," to my dad. So I think she is an experiencer but doesn't know it. And, you know, now she's 80 and has Alzheimer's, so it's not something she can go down that road. So honestly, I think that I was altered with in the womb, possibly, because I have childhood memories of, you know, like jumping and floating and going out my window and all that stuff. But, you know, nothing really happened. My big event happened in when I was 48 in 2021. So it might have been a whole lifetime of experiences. But I didn't really get a clue until 2021.
Okay, wow. It does sound like at least your mother has been an experiencer from what you said. That sounds pretty typical. So, so what happened to you in 2021 then?
Well, I had my first wife passed in 2011 from brain cancer, so I became a single dad when my kid was 7, my son, and that summer 2011, I think, was an abduction experience. My son and I were driving to the Gorge in Washington to see the last Rush, the band show, and on the top of the pass, the Yakima Indian Reservation, my ear popped. And by the time we got to the concert, it really hurt. And we lasted 2 songs. We went to a hotel, and I barely slept that night. We continued on to Montana, where we used to live, to our log cabin. We were turning into an Airbnb and went over 4 passes in a couple days. And by the time I got back to Portland, my ear was really messed up, and so were my sinuses. And my ear leaked fluid for like 3 weeks. 3 months.
Wow.
So when I got taken in 2021, I was like, oh, when my first wife passed in 2011, that probably happened. They probably got taken. So what happened in 2011, I got married again in 2018, and my wife and I got corporate accounting jobs in 2019 to be, good parents. We both had 2 kids in their teens, and we both got our good jobs, and COVID happened, and she lost hers and I kept mine. And a month later, she took the money and ran. She took a bunch of my money and ran. It's like almost another initiation. So I was down and out, but I still had my job. And that COVID happened. So at my job, a dozen people, my office went from 12 people to 2, just me and the boss, because of COVID. And so I had to work my butt off. And I got finger tendonitis, I got carpal tunnel, and I filed workman's comp in 2020, August, 4 months after my wife left. And the boss didn't like it. So he tried to make me quit from 2020 to 2021. He moved my office from the window seat to the front door. He changed my hours, blah, blah, blah. Finally, July 21, he actually hired my replacement in March 21. I was like, hey, why are you hiring her? Oh, just more bandwidth, more people. So I trained her to do my job, accounting manager, and then I became the filing person. And then I got fired 7/21 for being late for 6 minutes. And then I got abducted 3 weeks later at the rave.
Okay. Okay. Well, do
So yeah,
tell.
I had like this normal, running a business life. And then
Right.
2020, 2021, I lose my second wife, and then I get fired, and then I get taken. And so my life kind of went down this side road, dirt road tangent, to become a writer and a messenger. Because I'm legit, I have an MBA. I'm not like some wacko. Yeah, I was an accountant 3 weeks before I got taken, and my life changed forever.
Before you got taken, did you have an interest in ufology?
Yeah, this is the fun, it's part of my book. I went to, in the 5th grade, I was in this lyceum in my 5th grade class, like after school extracurricular, and we did field trips, like an Egyptian museum in San Jose, but we went to a UFO symposium in San Jose when I was in 5th grade, and it freaked the crap out of me. We got home, and it was like me and like 8 friends and my parents, and I was really scared about the whole ET thing for my whole teens until I went to Oregon to college, where I became more of a man and wasn't as scared about it. And I watched the X-Files. So, I was kind of a believer, but I didn't own any books. I didn't go to any symposiums until 2021 when it went down. So, I believed it, but I wasn't I wasn't part of the circuit. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
So,
then I moved to Montana after I graduated Oregon in '97. So I was there like 5 years in Oregon. And I moved to Montana, and I met my first wife that passed, and we saw a couple UFOs, like a cigar-shaped one above our log cabin. Watched the X-Files. So, I was a believer, but not, like I said, no books, no symposiums under my belt other than 5th grade.
So when you saw the couple of UFOs in Montana with your wife, at that time, did you have any clue that you were being taken?
Not at all. I mean, I was completely clueless. It's like, hey, there's a cigar-shaped thing. It's got no contrail. It's moving slow. No, not at all.
Okay.
It wasn't until after she passed that I was like, oh, maybe, because that weird thing that happened on the gorge where my ear popped. But yeah, I still literally not till 2021 when it was like the cosmic clue by 4 hit me side the forehead, because at the rave they took a video when I got taken. So I got home. I didn't know about the video till I had a weird afternoon on August 7th. And I didn't know about it until the next day when I got home on August 8th. And I'm like looking at my pictures and videos of the weekend. And I'm like, what's this 18-minute video here? And I watched it and I'm like, I got abducted. I mean, that was my number one. There was no other explanation. I texted my friend that immediately. I I found out, I didn't even know about MUFON until that day, the 8th. I got online. I'm like, I got to file a report. I found out about MUFON, emailed the Oregon chapter head. He actually called me back. We had a quick 10-minute chat that Sunday. And then I filed my first report, I don't know, 3 days later. And then the Las Vegas MUFON was 2 weeks after that. Synchronicity led one thing to another. And yeah.
Okay.
So that's
So
what happened.
what was in the video?
Gosh, in a nutshell, I'm taking, my phone is vertical, and I'm taking a video of the main stage of my friend that's a DJ, and he's starting to spin. And imagine maybe 10 seconds in, like a burlap sack, but it's like metallic. You can see this mesh go over my body.
Oh.
And then 10 seconds later, 3 seconds in, I start getting dragged away from the main stage. The music stops, it gets slow motion. There's this weird mesh over the phone. When I initially watched it for a year or two, I thought I was crawling on the ground. But as I've watched it, God, 100 times now, as I show people, something's got me by the neck like a mama cat drags a baby kitten. Something big, and so I thought a reptilian, something that came from underground, like one of the minions, the worker bees that takes me to the ship. So, but a few months ago, I'm like, maybe it was Bigfoot, because I'm in Bigfoot country. So for 2 minutes, they're dragging me by the neck to a porta potty. You can hear a growl a couple times. That's why I thought
Oh man.
reptilian. You can hear heavy footsteps. And then when I get to this porta potty, the door opens. It's a plastic door. And then there's like 5 or 6 frames where I'm inside the porta potty, but I'm on my back. I'm like looking, I'm on a table. And then it goes black for 10 minutes, the video, and all you can hear is like, I'm on a ship. You can hear like footsteps. You can hear clanking, maybe medical instruments. You can hear the growl a couple times. You can hear doors opening and closing. You can hear dripping. I think it's a moist environment. So you can watch this video, listen to 10 minutes of it where it's just black but crazy sounds, like I'm on a ship. And then it's reverse course. The porta potty door opens. I get dragged back to the main stage. Instead of taking 2 minutes, it takes about 3. About the 2-minute mark, you can actually see lights in the woods and like this clicking, like a UFO taking off. And then about 30 seconds before they drop me off, it gets all swirly and I get launched back to the main stage and they drop me off at the same spot I was taken. You can see daylight for a second and then the video ends. And that was 4:51. I didn't take my next picture till 10:30 p.m. And I had a really weird afternoon. So I honestly don't know when they dropped me off. But when I got back, I was almost at like 2 places at once. Half the people are like, where you been for 4.5 hours? Half the people I interacted with in a very weird afternoon. Yeah, so I found that video the next day, filed a MUFON report. Um, I tell people it's video evidence of cloaking, because there was 60 people at the stage dancing, and they dragged me off. Nobody saw me. I get dragged by a couple of people. They don't notice us. Yeah. So that was kind of my big event, and my
That's
life.
that's amazing that at a huge concert like that, event like this happens where you're dragged off and nobody notices this.
Yeah, nobody. I mean, there's a guy in a minivan hanging out. You can see it in the video. He doesn't even do anything.
Gosh, this
Yeah.
brings in all types of questions like time travel, interdimensional aspects. Why was your phone allowed to be on to record this? Just on and on.
Yeah, it's funny because I talked to a lot of researchers, and they're like, yeah, usually when people get taken, they turn the phone off, because I think they chose me. Because I'm legit. I was an accountant, and people are like, why did they choose you? And I tell people, because the old timers are not going to be here forever. Um, I kind of feel like there's a gap between the 60s and 70s really good cases and now. There's some good cases, 80s, 90s, like Dad Cobble and Bud Hopkins did the missing time stuff. But there's kind of a gap, and I tell people the old timers aren't going to be here forever, and they chose me because I'm a good writer from college. I believe in it. I was an accountant. And here's a crazy story. Right before MUFON last year in Cincinnati, I on a whim, the universe was like, hey, make your East Coast trip more worth it. I was just going to go there and back for like 3 days. So I got on MGM. I'm an MGM member, and like, where can I stay free? So I found Biloxi, Mississippi. So I booked a room free for 3 nights, changed my flights. I flew to Mississippi first. Next day I went to New Orleans. The day after that, I was going to go to Alabama. I was going to hit 3 states in 3 days. And I got on the map, and I'm like, oh, Pascagoula. That's where Calvin, Parker, and Charles Hickson. Oh, there's a plaque there for Calvin. So I decided to go to the plaque before Alabama, and I left the hotel like a little after 8, and I arrived at the plaque. There's a local wildlife photographer there, so he took a picture of me. Went to Alabama, went to Mobile, back to Mississippi, to MUFON Cincinnati. And then a week later, on my Zero email thread, Yvonne Smith, who's my hypnotherapist, she emails the group. She said Charles passed away, or Calvin. And I'm like, wow. And I looked at the date. Calvin passed away like when I left my hotel. The exact day. I mean, I arrived at his plaque an hour after he passed. And so, I tell people the baton has to be passed. And even though I've never met Calvin, he passed me the baton that day. Yeah.
It sounds like it. Now we've got 3 photos to show. I'm going to pull them up. Are these from a later date event? Is this more recent?
This is when I met you, when I left Dallas MUFON. And it seems like whenever I go to these events, I feel like the ETs are there just kind of watching and listening to what we're talking about. And it seems like half the time I fly home, I get taken at the airport and have a weird night.
Wow.
It's happened in Roswell. It's happened in Vegas a couple times. So anyhow, this was my last picture at the symposium noonish on Sunday. And this is the booth mate on the other side of me, Greg. And I bought one of his necklaces. So that was that shot. And then the next shot in order was on the flight at 2 a.m. when I got the menu, and I was going to get a drink so I could pass out and wake up in Portland at 1 a.m. or whatever. So that's 2 a.m. And then the third picture in order is the compass thing, which I vaguely remember taking a picture of, but it's at 12:37. So the compass should have been before the drink shot, and I had a weird night. Um, I got to my flight 4 hours early. I went to the American Lounge, and I just read Erich von Däniken's "The Gods Never Left Us" for like 3 hours. And then at the end, I hung out with these really nice Texas teens. They were just flying in from like, gosh, Dominican Republic on a fishing trip, and they were like super nice, calling me sir. They bought some of my necklaces, and then we got kicked out of the bar because it was 10:30. My flight left at 11:30. So we took an elevator down. I said bye to them, and then my memories are vague that next hour. I remember sitting down on the plane, and talking to the gal next to me for a few minutes. I remember taking a picture of the drink menu and the compass. I don't remember getting off the plane in Portland. In Portland, I remember getting off the plane, walking down the jetway. That's all I remember. I don't remember getting my luggage. I remember being on the shuttle bus, texting someone. Don't remember putting my luggage in my car at the long-term parking. I do remember swiping my credit card to get out of the long-term parking lot. Don't remember the 20-minute drive home. Don't remember parking. My next memory is I'm in my driveway with luggage at 2 a.m. And then I wake up the next morning with a bloody nose. So,
Have you ever been tested for implants?
yes. When this first went down in August 2021, I got an ENT, ear, nose, throat specialist, and I didn't get an appointment till like November. He put a camera on my nose. My septum got completely deviated on August 7th at the music event, to the left. I had an ulcer that wasn't healing, and I asked him to do an x-ray. He wouldn't. I saw him twice more, maybe 4 months later, and then 5 months later, asked him to do an x-ray. Nope. I changed insurance companies. I got a new ENT, and I had an MRI about 6 months ago, but it was negative. There's nothing up there.
Okay.
Maybe they pulled it out. I hear that sometimes they pull it out before you have an appointment, and then they put it back in.
Sometimes it moves on its own too.
Yeah.
Sometimes they
So
move on their own.
honestly, they mess with me a lot. I think they check on the thing. I think it's behind my eye. I think they either swap it in and out or check on it. I know they've messed with me because I'll wake up in the morning, not like a bloody nose pouring out blood, but I'll blow my nose and there'll be blood on it. And I mean, there's no other explanation for why I'd have blood. So that happened this morning, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you ever tried an EMF meter and run that over your body to see if you get any spikes on that?
I haven't. I have one, a TriMet, or what do they call it?
Tri-field
Uh,
meter?
yeah, I have one in my house.
Okay.
But that's a
Put it
good
on
idea because I save
uh,
my clothes for my events. And so it's on my to-do list to run the tri-field meter over the clothes that I wore when it happened.
okay. What you might try is a UV light over your clothing to
Yes,
see
I
if
have
it's
that too.
dark. But the EMF, put it on, if you have a tri-field meter, then put it on the radio frequency, RF.
Okay.
I seem to have the most luck picking up implants with
Okay.
that one. So that'd be
Yeah, in terms of
interesting.
the fluorescent light, I have one shirt that I went to the Exeter UFO Festival, 2022. It was like Labor Day, and they say the doctor or the leader who's over you when you're on the ship is the mantis. So anyhow, um, I was staying at this Comfort Inn or something in Exeter, and the day I checked out, there's a praying mantis on my screen. It's like a 50-room hotel, so that kind of weirded me out. I saw a praying mantis in college too. That kind of weirded me out. But after I left Exeter, I went to Maine, and then I went to Vermont, and then I came back and I flew out of Boston. But the day before I left, I went to Salem to check out all the witchy stuff, and I bought a witch shirt. And
Whoops, we got frozen up there a bit with Eric. Okay, well, we're going to go to break. It's break time anyway, and we'll be back right after these messages.
This September 6th through the 13th, join with like-minded souls in the experience of a lifetime on the Royal Caribbean Ovation of the Seas as we travel from Seattle to Alaska. Internationally renowned researchers, investigators, experiencers, authors, holistic healers, contactees, spiritual luminaries will sail on an extraordinary voyage of transformation. This cruise will explore UFOs, alien contact, cover-ups, ancient mysteries, the paranormal, holistic healing, and spirituality. Experience engaging lectures, one-on-one sessions, private, custom-tailored excursions, and a nightly UFO watch. The cruise is booking up fast. Go to contactatsea.com and be sure to mention the UNX network when you book. That's contactatsea.com or phone 336-749-1219. That's 336-749-1219.
Well, folks, we're back with the next news. I'm your host, Margie K, and we were interviewing Erich Degner about his very strange experiences and video and photos of a UFO abduction that he experienced. And he's actually had several. However, he has mysteriously disappeared right now. Hopefully, he has not been abducted and he will return here shortly. So we'll wait for that. And in the meantime, I thought maybe I would just run over a few things to help people kind of find out if they have possibly been abducted. And some of the things that are very common are, as I mentioned a minute ago, if you suspect that you have an implant anywhere on your body, in your body, try a couple of things. One is the tri-field meter. Set it on the RF setting, but also the other settings as well. They all pick up different frequencies. Then just a standard EMF meter will work as well. And the real small metal detectors, the pinpointer, sometimes I use that on people, and you might get a reading there. But, and this is weird, it's kind of strange. If you pick up something, you might not pick it up in the same place twice because they have a tendency to know when there's something reading the field, and then they move, and they'll move out of the way. I do not suggest removing an implant. I always tell everybody who asks about it if they should have it removed, and I say no, because what happens is whoever these entities are will return and then put one or two in its place. They seem to know that they're gone. So they don't seem to be doing any physical harm to people. We're not sure exactly what they are. There's a lot of speculation about that. But looks like we've got Erich back. So we're going to try again. And you're in a different location now, Erich. We lost your signal.
Yeah, I emailed you. My phone shut down because of the heat outside.
Oh, really? Okay.
So I just threw it in my fridge for about 2 minutes, and now it's working again. And I'm in my 70-degree basement. So.
Okay. Well, that should work then. Hopefully we can get through the rest of the interview. Now, when you first saw the video of you being taken, and what was going through your mind? What did you think was possibly going on? Did you immediately go to this was an alien abduction?
Yeah, like I said, 15 minutes ago, there was no other explanation in my mind that that is what happened, because you look at the video and I couldn't have pulled it off. I mean, Quentin Tarantino couldn't have pulled it off if he was there at the site for a year and got the perfect day and the perfect lighting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like this Blair Witch Project thing that I could not. I was like, what is this? And like I said, I had a weird afternoon. There's kind of a weird caveat to the video that I only tell some people, but on my phone it said 3 minutes and 7 seconds. And immediately when I found it on Sunday, I put it on my Windows PC and it copied over as 3 minutes and 7 seconds. And it's like a shorter version. It's really 18 minutes plus.
Oh,
So, yeah, it's weird. The 3 minute 7 second version is like a trailer. It's almost like a shorter version. And the iPhone version is 18 minutes. And I put it on my brother works for Apple, and so I had this Apple in a box I never used, and I busted it out, put it on the Apple PC or the desktop, and it's 18 minutes. So there's like
wow.
version, yeah. So I don't know what the deal is with the ETs and Windows and iPhone, but that's just another like sub
Well,
top.
apparently they can do
Yeah.
anything.
But yeah, I literally, there was no other explanation in my mind. I watched it like a half a dozen times and I had a really weird day. Yeah, there was no other explanation. I mean, I couldn't think of one.
Now, the part about the going to the porta potty and opening the door and going in, and then you're hearing all these other noises, it kind of makes me think that you were actually taken up into a craft from the porta potty. What are your thoughts on that?
Yes, and just the past few months, I've been joking with people. It's the porta potty portal. Because I got regressed for the first time. Basically, I want to say 13 months ago. It was Contact in the Desert last year, by Yvonne Smith in her hotel room for that specific day. And in fact, I felt myself being floated up, after I got in the porta potty. I mean, in a nutshell, during the regression, I felt like a garbage bag being put over my body, like the mesh. And then I felt something grabbing me by the neck. And then I'm in the porta potty and I felt myself floating up. And then I was on the table. And then, the regression kind of goes sideways a little bit. I feel myself floating down and then feel myself floating up again. But yeah, as soon as I went in the porta potty, I think I got taken up.
So, how many times have you been regressed?
I have been regressed 3 times now. 13 months ago at Contact, and then she has her CERO group, Close Encounter Resource Organization, and I'm on the email thread, and I want to say like, I don't know, 4 months ago, February, Marchish, she was looking for volunteers for a workshop. She was doing an online workshop to teach other people to become hypnotherapists, and I volunteered, and so I flew down to Burbank and then Glendale to her house, and I got hypnotized on a Saturday and a Sunday because some other people canceled. And the 2 dates I picked were I got abducted. My big event was 8/7/21, but May of the next year, on my birthday, May 14th, 2022, I went to this McMinnville UFO festival, and I stayed at a hotel, and they messed with me there. And when I was going to see Kathleen Martin talk, there was another video. It's only 1 minute and 10 seconds, but it's got the same mesh. So that was my second MUFON case. And then, yeah, it kind of just went from there.
So, in the hotel room, you said where they mess with you. What did they do?
Well, yeah, so many stories. So I got regressed twice. by Yvonne in April. So the first day I picked the day I had more memories, which was my birthday, the 14th, because that's when I saw Kathleen and Whitley talk, and I was really out of sorts. But a week before, I went to California with my son, who was 21, to surprise my brother-in-law for his 60th birthday. I stayed in my sister's old room at my parents' house, and I woke up at 1:11 a.m. and there was this water on the carpet in front of this doll cabinet. Totally unexplainable. No water on the cabinet, just on the carpet and under the cabinet. My dad's like, "Oh, you got up and took a piss in the middle of the night." I'm like, "No, it doesn't smell like pee." And my gut was like the ETs were showing my mom and dad, who are 80, 79 at the time, and my son that I'm not crazy, because they're the only people I've told in my family. So that happened, May 7th-ish or something. And then McMinnville UFO Fest is the next week. My son's a little weirded out about it. It was his birthday on the 12th. So we drove in 2 cars down to McMinnville, and he stayed in the hotel with me on the 12th, and then he was going to drive back to Portland before the festival. So on the 12th, we had a nice birthday dinner, blah, blah, blah. Drove him back to the hotel. He just wanted to get on his phone. So I walked to this bar. It took like 20 minutes, downtown McMinnville, dive bar. Had a couple drinks with a couple lesbians that were at the festival. Walked home to the hotel. Felt like something was watching me. I felt really on edge. I walked through a different neighborhood. Next morning, there was water again. Like, I woke up in our hotel room, my son and I, and the windowsill was covered with water. In my gut, I tell people I was showing my son, who was kind of skeptic, that, hey, it happened 2 weeks in a row. I'm not full of shit. So my son kind of went in a funk then. He's still doing good, but he just moved out like 3 months ago. Luckily, my parents and my family in California have space for him. But yeah, after those
did he move out because of your experiences?
Yeah. And I asked him
Wow.
why, and it was that May 2022 when that water thing happened twice. He was like, "Oh shit, this is real." Yeah, so that was my second MUFON case. It kind of validated this kind of cloaking mesh thing. Yeah, so that happened like literally August. That happened 9 months later. Similar video, but shorter.
How has your life changed since your abduction experiences?
Wow, it's changed a lot. I haven't had really good luck with researchers. They don't believe me or whatever. So I came to the realization that I just need to write. Maybe about 2.5 years ago, finished my book. So it's kind of been this tightrope, like, balancing act of maintaining my rentals, writing when I can, going to symposiums, but the biggest impact is I don't sleep through the night anymore. Like, I have serious insomnia, and I wake up at 111, 222, 333, go back to bed, toss and turn for the next 3 hours. I get up early, 5 or 6, and then when I do get up, I'll have a migraine and vivid dreams that are kind of strange. And honestly, this goes on at least once a week. So they've completely upended my sleep pattern, and my nose is screwed up. So, it's kind of like, what do you want to call it? Adversity?
Let's, what you're talking about is typical abductee experiences, and difficulty sleeping, headaches, afraid to go to sleep sometimes and wanting to stay up all night. And a lot of abductees will actually stay up until after 3 a.m. in with the idea that if they stay awake, they won't be taken. But back to your deviated septum. Did you ever have a deviated septum before these incidents?
No. And
Okay.
that's why it's like physical proof. I mean, I had a normal straight nose before August 7th, 2021, and my nose has never been the same since.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I get sores up there. Like, honestly, I have a sore now that I got about a week ago. Kind of, near the entrance that, I'm not picking my nose. So it's like something got shoved up my nose the last couple weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do you, let's go to the owls for a minute. You were talking about Mike Cleland and the book Owls. Do you have any strange memories of owls?
Yes. So first, my second wife left April with all my money, and then that summer, here's another crazy story. I started getting into nature hiking and stuff. Fast forward to December, I want to say it was like 16th, 2021. So this is like 8 months after my wife passed. I get home from my corporate accounting job, and Carlos Castaneda's Journey to Itzlan was on the floor. It was on the carpet. And it couldn't have happened. I went and asked my son up. He's like, "No, Dad, I've been upstairs all day." It was so tightly packed in there. Like, how you squeeze the last book in sometime just so nothing else can fit. So the cats couldn't have done it. So anyhow, I started reading that book, and I got into shamanism and started hiking at dusk, dawn, middle of the night, and that's when I started interacting with owls in my old suburb before I moved to Portland. And I started climbing in these ancient cedar trees, and the owls would hoot back at me, or I'd see them out of the corner of my eye. And then one of my neighbors took a picture of the owl at my condo at the trail. And then I moved to Portland that year. So that happened like December 2021. So then I moved to Portland 2020. I moved to Portland in 2021 to my new neighborhood, and there's a nice park 6 blocks away, big old trees, and I start going there and hooting at owls, and there's an owl that lives there. One night he came to my backyard and hung out in the tree and hooted. So basically I started interacting with owls, and I started talking about it, I think when we got cut off, but at Denver MUFON, I told Mike I was going to look for my owl videos, and I found this video on 8/4/21, 3 days before the rave where I got taken, that I hiked there 11:45-ish, started taking a video at 11:59 on 8/4/21, and I was doing some magic. I was calling the four directions. I was on a creek. I called the east and the south, and then the creek sound stops. And
Oh.
I've only watched the video like 6 or 7 times. It's kind of like a creepy B horror flick. The creek sound stops. The trees become entities. It's all slow motion. At one point, a skull apparition appears and seems to be communicating with me. And then the creek sounds come back after an hour and 10 minutes, and you hear me coughing. And the thing that, unlike the rave thing that happened 3 days later when I don't know when I got dropped off, I started my video at 11:59 on 8/4, and it's an hour and 10 minutes. It ends at 12:12 a.m. on 8/5. I took like a series of pictures at 12:12, so it's like video proof of missing time. And at the end of the video, I'm hooting at an owl, and then I walk home, and then I get basically that was a Wednesday. Thursday, Friday, I'm at my house packing for the rave, and a squirrel comes into my living room and hangs out for an hour. I got a video of that. He's got big black eyes. He was no normal squirrel.
Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
so I went owl thing, squirrel, rave, Las Vegas MUFON 3 weeks later. It just kind of went boom, 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 boom.
Did you ever see the movie Fourth Kind?
No, I
Uh,
haven't.
oh my gosh, it's presented as a documentary, but it's really a compilation of common things that happen to abductees all together. You know, the owls and everything that you're talking about, missing time. This sounds like a movie to me, what you're telling me.
I
It's like
know.
you have almost everything happen to you that typically happens to abductees.
Yes, I have like the whole kit caboodle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, I mean, honestly, that hour and 10-minute video is a movie. I haven't filed a case with MUFON yet because they haven't done a great job in my other three cases. So, I'm kind of the gatekeeper, and I'm going to send it to one of the guys I met in Dallas, Seth, out of Colorado. He's like their top video analyzer. So, I connected with the people I need to connect with, and I only give the videos to people that I think are going to analyze it legitimately. Um,
Well, I have some good connections too, Eric. So keep that in mind.
we'll
Um,
definitely.
I know some experts in the field. Um, wow.
Well, yeah, I'd love to send you, if you're on WeTransfer, I'd love to send you the video.
Yes, I
Um,
am. I would love to take a look. I really would. And
yeah,
I've got
you
some
can know what
experts I work with.
so.
Um, wow. Okay. Have you developed any new abilities since your abduction experience, such as psychic abilities or interest in different subjects?
Yeah, I've always kind of gone with the flow and intuition, path of least resistance, yin yang. So that ability is strengthened. But after it happened, I'm just like this mad skill driver. At one point I drove way too fast, and I was going like 120, and driving with my finger. It was crazy.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, it was that easy. And then I want to say about 6 months ago, I started to get remote viewing skills, which I'm not good at yet, but I'm just kind of learning about it. Um, so yeah, those things. Um,
premonitions.
oh yeah, for sure. And just yeah, meeting people in synchronicity too. I've always been kind of go with the flow, and I meet who I need to meet, but now it's like that to the max. Like,
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, all these symposiums. Sometimes I lay low, but maybe the last night I'll meet like 12 people that I super connected with.
Yeah. And then the times, when you look at the clock, it happens to be something like 222 or 111.
Yes,
Um,
for sure. I mean, that's when I got up last night and didn't feel great. It was 444. So,
have you ever heard three knocks on a door?
no. I mean, I've read about it in Whitley's books. He gets the three knocks on the ceiling. But no, I've not heard that.
Okay. The only reason I mentioned that is that I've had it happen to me, at least 10, 15 times. And it happened again last night. Just pound, pound, pound. In the middle of the night, go to the door. There's nobody there.
Wow.
Uh,
I
yeah.
do get orbs. I do have some cameras in my bedroom and living room, and
Hmm.
I'll get orbs that kind of just blow through the room. Even when I'm not there, I keep an eye on my cats. And one night, I think when I was in Dallas, one of my cats was chasing out of the bedroom to the living room after an orb.
Oh, that's always good when an animal gets involved because they're seeing something.
Yeah. One thing when we cut out, I don't know what you were talking about, but my memory was I was talking about. I came back from Boston, and I had this shirt, a Salem shirt with these claw marks on the back. Um,
Oh,
yeah, so
okay.
that's something I need to look at with a fluorescence light. Um, it looks like four fingers with sharp nails. I
Oh,
washed the I washed the shirt with my whole clothes from the trip, and I thought it was chapstick or something, but no. It all the other clothes were right, but like this one it's kind of a light heather gray shirt, but the back had these weird claw marks on it.
Okay. Just FYI for future reference, don't wash a shirt that has that on it or anything. Yeah, because we can get that tested.
I know. Well, I didn't see it till it came out.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
I see.
my other clothes from my August and then my May event that happened in 2022, I've saved. They're in a bag in my closet. I haven't touched them.
Okay. Okay. Well, yeah, Eric, we need to do some more talking off the air. And
yeah, and we'll see each other on the cruise.
Yes,
So
you're going to be a vendor at
maybe
the
we can do
Contact at Sea.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell us what you're going to have at your table.
I am selling these agates that I found on the San Juan Islands of Washington like 3 years ago. And I tumble them. They've been in the ocean for thousands of years, so they're kind of round. I find them on the beach, and then I tumble them for about a month. And then I got these nice cloth necklace holders I put them in. And the cool thing is the cruise is going to go right past the island where I found them on.
Oh, yes, it is. Yeah.
Island on our way up to, where are we going first? We're going to Sitka.
Yeah, Sitka. I'm going to hit Juneau. Also Victoria.
Yeah, Sitka's beautiful because they have the totem pole park.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Folks, if you're interested, there are still seats available on that cruise. So be sure to sign up for it. It's going to be great. I'm looking forward to it. Golly. So what's next?
It was on my bucket list because I've flown to all those places except Skagway, like in the 2000s. And it was literally on my to-do list to do it again, but on a boat. And then I found out about Contact a month ago. And, just synchronicity, and asked if I could become a vendor. And they're like, sure, you can be. You're the only artist. It's going to be all speakers and books, but you can do it. Sure. So.
All right. Well, yeah, I may bring some of my resin work too, and books. So,
Cool.
Yeah, we'll see each other there for sure, and that's going to be a great cruise. So, you're working on your book now. When do you think you'll have it finished?
I think the rough draft might be done by the cruise, and then it's just fix the rough draft and get people to like write on the back cover and all that stuff.
Yeah, get some testimonials and
find someone to read it and give me input.
Okay, well, we can talk about that too.
Okay.
Yeah, because we do have Onyx Media Publishing, so.
Yeah, I'm new to the game. I'm just writing, and I don't know what the next step is.
Yeah. Well, Eric, your story is fascinating. I'm looking forward to digging into this a little bit more with you and see what we can see. But thank you so much for sharing with us.
You're welcome. And yeah, let's try to do the podcast number 2 on the ship.
Absolutely. We will definitely do that. So, all right. Thank you, Eric. And thank you, everyone, for watching Onyx News once again on this Friday evening. And we're here every Friday evening at 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern. And I will see you next week.